Let's get into what is going on in the Philippines. And John, for the audience, for those that haven't heard of you before, and for those that follow you, because I know you have a huge following, please give a huge, shout out for you and how they can reach you, please.
Well, Rex, again, thank you for this opportunity to bring a path of reality, a choice that we can all make to solve the problems in the world. Because Rex, I hate the term human rights activist, but as a philanthropist, when I was in corporate America, I was always involved before the internet, but always involved in advocating human rights, and it was based on sovereignty and stopping mining, protect the rainforest, the frogs. My issue now for about I've been in a relationship with the Filipino people in the customer service industry. My Facebook is U6ME Outsource. It's just John Arceneaux. You'll see me. You'll see my face. I'm advocating the rights of they have 10 million human trafficked offshore working people because there's no social middle class in the Philippines. Everything I do, my website is a call to action, social-live.biz, to be socially alive, make it your business. U-6.me, unite humanity one person at a time. It starts with me and you. I've always been pushing to undo that cinch knot that's on humanity because of the cause and effect of the Hegelian dialectic, that divide and conquer, which is in everything: the money, the spiritual systems, the indoctrination, the socialism. Look at the Tavistock Institute. Look at all the psychopathy. That's the ends justify the means. And then we've got this wonderful new abridged definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again, trying to obtain different results. Well, as John Arceneaux, just being me, I just turned 53 June the 4th, like Sunday. And my hardest job is not, for myself, not to be a narcissistic, Messiah complex driven person. I have to figure out how to save myself at the same time when I'm trying to teach humanity to save themselves. We're all victims of damn near everything we participate in life with. And the Philippines has been victimized for over 100 years by imperialism, Imperial Manila. The American-Filipino War was just a seizure of that archipelagos of 7,000 islands, so uniquely positioned. Back from Magellan's time, the church started the hypocrisy there, and now the only official history for the Filipino is the Spanish Catholic rendition and the Ignatius Loyola rendition of history. So we have a divide in the country of what they call yellow tards, is the Liberal Party coupled with the Communist Party, and it turns into a lot of different subdivisions. But the people of the Philippines elected this man called President Duterte. He was a mayor of a city in the southern region of the Philippines known as Davao. And he inherited, as mayor over 20 years ago, a city that was like the fourth worst city in the world, and in 20 years, he even buried the power lines. The city is like the fourth safest city in the world. So the guy he's like me. He's like me and you. He's not going to be sold out to anything. The people of the country didn't know most of them didn't know who he was. And it just became a social media phenomena. I got involved with his election because I've known of this man. I've always followed this man, and in different rare opportunities, I've defended him against biased media. They've always tried to make him look like a dictator and a mercenary. But, the fact is, he's a warrior. He's a man. He's just like me and you. If someone's coming to forcibly enter our home to do harm to our family, we're going to rise up and do what we can within our means to eradicate the issue. Well, on top of all of this, he's a prosecuting attorney. So he's always been out his box, according to the Bar Association. He follows rule of law. So they elected this man. I was involved in the campaign. Social media had about 6 million what are known as diehard Duterte supporters, DDS, it's an acronym. And in this whole process, I was being waged war against by this liberal party. They had encamped all of the different regional support groups on Facebook to support President Duterte and his election. And they were, I mean, as far as a year back, they were bringing a negative image in what I now call social bias media. They were creating a vigilante image for the president. They coined him as the Punisher, and they have a lot of images with him, you know, at the firing range. And I mean, my God, he's nothing but a man. He's a father, a grandfather, um, um, a mayor, a successful mayor, prosecuting attorney. He's an ethical man, an honorable man. And you know, Rex, he curses, he speaks his mind. You know, he fits the psychological makeup of a real person. You know, it's ironic that people that have a potty mouth sometimes have a better moral fiber than the ones that stand up pious and judgmental. So, and he's not beholden to the church. You know, he was molested as a young boy, and so was I. And there's so many similarities in who we are and what we stand for. I found myself constantly trying to bring these people that ended up having an elected president to the point where they were giving thanks and speaking positive about the changes in the Philippines, because in less than a year, this president has forged from a third world country to the makings of a first world country, good standing with Russia, China, Japan, all of the countries that are in the ASEAN nations, the Asiatic bloc of countries, even Peru. It's like from that, you know, it's like all the countries that surround the oligarch nations, the monarch-driven nations, the Luciferian nations. You know, he's always called out the evil, and he's never taken a lot of concentrated time to speak to his people about changing, because the country was given a gift of freedom, not beholding to the corporate structures of the world, not beholding to the New World Order plans, the Illuminati. You know, he takes a stand against hypocrisy and oligarchy, imperialism, colonization. He calls it for what it is. Well, here recently, for 1 year, I've been in a motel because I quickly became outcast when my popularity was known in my local city. A family outcast me. I was living in a family home with my daughter, who is autistic, very high functioning autistic young lady. We were brought to a motel and basically said, you know, how dare you stand against the government and you know, all these things you're speaking of. You're such a radical. You need to you can do much more with your life than waste your time trying to help these people. They'll never help you. It was a monetary issue to them because they know my potential in corporate America. Well, I've denied myself for 1 year and still in the same situation, trying to wake these people up. And I've grown to the understanding that the consciousness of humanity and our ability to see our victimization and the fact that we're co-creators in this matrix, you know, everything around us in the alternative communities is pointing back to our divided and conquered essence as a human. So my quest has been to call to action these 10 million OFWs who all follow their government because their government's serving them, ironically. And these 6 million DDS are Duterte supporters, which are all Filipino online. And what I'm dealing with is their conscious awareness, their cognitive dissonance, their inability to see the truth, to be set free, to be who they're born to be, to follow their natural path in life. And in the past year, even as far as 2 years ago, I've had encounters with people that were monitoring me. There is a hidden element of Western society that I believe it's the remnant of the white hats, you know, the people that are in position and the people that know the social disconnect spiritually, and it for some reason, these oligarchs, and the definition of oligarch, Mac, Rex. It's I keep thinking you're Max Egan. for the for
Max
some
is a nice
reason,
guy. I like Max.
yeah, he's. I've done a couple of interviews with him. We're on the same path, but for some reason, these oligarchs depend on the definition of oligarchs is any small group of people that control a region or a people or a system. It's just that double hexed, twice removed from your birthright. If they can systematically get you 3 generations away from your indigenous behavior as a culture, they can socially divide and conquer your life spiritually, economically. They give you this placebo called money and spirituality. They take your divine essence away from you at birth, and they indoctrinate you into this path of suffering because we're so bad. Well, this group of people that's been monitoring me, at one time it popped up as what looked like a small group of banditos. They terrorized me for about 2 weeks, showing up at different places when I was driving at the time and scaring the shit out of me. But I met with them, and I was brought to the knowledge of the fact that I'm being watched and monitored because I have an appointed mission and a message for humanity. The only answer to solve the problems in the world is that person you see in the mirror every day. And it's not going to be an ascended mastery of anything. It's not going to be a special doctrine. It's not going to be some aliens that come with a gift or a crystal. It's the fact that we consciously choose this matrix, this prison, this hologram, this evil co-creation. And we're at a place where if we manifest love and care for each other, and we invest the time to love and live and change our lives to where service to others and do no harm is our main law, love is the answer, man. It lights the path for all humans, and we only have to be accountable for ourselves, And these people that come in and out of my life, and at the same time, I'm always being hit by the people that are interested in stopping the transformation of the Philippines. The Philippines is a strategic area. It's not just the South China man-made island that's an issue. It's the fact that you've got 115 million people roughly that could start standing as indigenous people, having integrity and being a part of a world that would actually be an example to the world that says, hey, it's the little guy behind the curtain. It's like the Wizard of Oz. The little Toto's pull the curtain back, and it's just this little feeble, weak person that's scared of us waking up. So I've always been told, don't sell out, don't use anything against morals, always bring the truth, use your heart. And but I'm like, okay, you've got all these resources to terrorize me basically and scare the hell out of me to make me stay on point. But the whole issue was my own growth and my own path for my own life. How do I attain all the things I advocate online? And this past week, I received a warning from my life on a text, and a text message to my phone. And I'm very public. My phone number is public, my address. I believe in being publicly available, my face, because it's insurance for me. I've been stopped for 3 years. I was locked up for exposing the private prison system back in the day. And right now, I had an encounter with someone that texted me on the phone. I had a dialogue, and they told me, post it on your timeline. Just prove you're a man, and I'll call you. And they're trying to tempt me to be paranoid, and I'm not. I'm just staying peaceful because I know humanity is close to making a decision to basically stand against our own enslavement. So I'm walking around this place next to the motel where I live, the Buffalo Wild Wings, and I do this 2 or 3 times a day just to have some exercise. I don't drive. So this is my social behavior. I go around the back of the place, and from behind me, and I always have my earphones and my phone in my hand. I'm always listening to your shows, or Alfred Weber. I'm trying to analyze the growing curve of humanity, because we're awakening day by day, and it's critical to me to measure what I say and do online. But all of a sudden, I'm pulled into this. It was a white panel Chevy van. It wasn't one of the new style. It was probably like a 2009, 2010, and no windows, and they had two guys in the back. One of the guys was, I saw who he was. It shocked me. I've got sciatica in my right hip, so I kind of pulled my hip out of socket a little bit, trying to just pull me back into the van. And I was told, they didn't even close the van door. It was right behind the exit to the kitchen of the Buffalo Wild Wings. They basically told me, humanity is not going to wake up. You're wasting your time. You're exposing yourself to danger. Humanity is not going to wake up. Stop pushing. I mean, there was a little bit more information, but I can't. I'm kind of conscientious about this, because in the shock of what was happening on the phone, and there's people working in my friends list, in my social following. There's people working, trying to discredit me, trying to take the message that I have and taint it with me having an ulterior motive or something. They're trying to
jump in
go ahead.
And I'm not trying to. I got to jump in here.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, okay, you don't even take a breath. I can't stop and ask a question without interrupting you.
I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry.
Don't apologize. Please don't apologize. No, it's so when you said there's things that you're conscientious about telling us because you think someone might try and discredit you as far as the van is concerned, though. Like when they put you in the van, you said there's a couple people in the back, and like go more into that if you would for a minute. Let's talk about that. What did they look like? Were they wearing masks? I mean, what kind of?
They had one guy. They didn't have any seats in the back of the van. Number one. They just had some like duffel bags and different things. It looked like it could have been used for work. One of the guys was looking at the wall, not paying attention to me. And the one guy that looked at me, he looked kind of rough, mustache, probably 58, 57, around my age, but definitely someone that's rough McGruff, but real sincere. I mean, he was trying to. I don't want to allude to too much detail, because if I am being monitored, and if they are concerned about me, Rex, that there's one thing that I have to make a clear statement to humanity about right now. We have many people in the alternative media community. You've got George Webb popping up right now. That's a major psyop. Okay, you've got many people pushing for Trump, going against Trump. What's happening around the world is the oligarchs, the Illuminati, New World Order, they are adjusting their daily plans, their false flags, everything they're doing, they're adjusting pending the conscious response socially of humanity. Okay? So, if I'm effective, if I can actually see what's happening, and if I can discern and keep peace in my life, I mean, I've gone from the first time I met you, I was desperate because I wanted to try to get the truth out and say, hey, if they're trying to shut me up, then I'm on point. We have an awakening that's going to take place, and it's going to start with a small group of people. It'll grow, and then one will bring 10,000 to flight, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000. When we actually ignite the flame of love in people's life, it'll burn away all the crap that stops us from saying, okay, I'm going to be courageous and I'm going to change myself. I'm going to stop all these things that are hurting me, and I'm going to start really planting the seed of life in the world. And this guy was, after the shock of being pulled into the van, I wish they would have done it a hell of a lot different, but I think they needed to shock me in to make me realize. And I'm leaning more towards the fact that these people were trying to help me, trying to make me grow a little bit, because as you can tell, I talk and I ramble on. I'm real passionate about this. It's the only thing in my life that I want to accomplish. I feel if I can get people to realize that we're the answer. We're the answer. We're the victims. So we need to be victorious in this life. It's about grounding. It's about awakening our ability to be human. That human, just get it in your head. I mean, it's not, don't go to the gypsy store and buy some crystals and some fucking incense. It's about us stopping long enough to smell the roses and say, you know what? I have to stop being my own worst enemy. And in my life, if I want to be effective and reach my followers, Rex, if me and you had access to people that would listen to us, and if you could take the total accumulated wisdom of your work, pushing videos every day because you're searching, you're opening doors, you're opening the knowledge. The fact is, these oligarchs have covered up the secret that we're the spiritual hierarchy of this planet. We're the victims. They have spent thousands of years to keep us limited, to keep us removed, double hexed from our birthright, to be human, just to be alive and plant our own food, love each other, make babies. My God, this thing is simple. It's a simple message, but I'm not the most simple person you'd ever meet because I'm an oracle. I tend to flow off in these tangents because I'm hurt that people, my own followers, do not see the seriousness of the moment. This hour we're living in is very serious. So this van, when they left, when they let me, I was allowed to step out of the van by myself.
How long were you in the van? Like, were they driving the whole time? Did they park?
No, dude, it stayed parked right behind the place. And I was in the van less than a minute. I mean, it seemed like, an eternity because it shocked the hell out of me. But when I got out the van, I caught myself and I really had to stand and get my hip not to fail, because the sciatica in my hip, sometimes it makes me not be able to walk. But in the moment, it's like I had a revelation of myself. I'm like, damn, why allow the urgency of the hour to cloud the ability to just be in the moment and just carry the message, take the message to the people. And we have this boogeyman, this monster called ISIS. 80% of the Islamic community knows who created ISIS. The oligarchs did. Without getting into the major players, we know who funds ISIS. We know it's a false flag. Well, it's actually a mercenary group, and it's worldwide. It's in the Philippines now, and they use the radical Muslim agenda. And we've got all these plans in the Middle East. We've got the Greater Israel Project. We've got Syria. We have like Assad. He's standing. He's not going to fall until they kill him. I don't think they will, though, because his people support him. 23 million Syrians just want to be Syrian. They don't want to be Christian or Muslim. They want to be Syrian. They want to govern their own country. So if we have people that watch our videos and people that see our sincerity, I believe that this was a shakeup for me, to be more of myself and just calm down and be in the moment and not ramble on for, cursing. And you go through my timeline, man, I'm a character, but people that follow me, it's like a cult following. I've got people that I can go online and I get 200 or 300 viewers in the first 2 or 3 minutes if I'm online at the right time. But I never can seem to say the right thing to make people stand up and be thankful for the Philippines. If a country was given freedom, if these people know the evil that was controlling them for so many years, don't you think the gift of freedom should make you want to tell the world? Say, hey, we're cool people. And you know what? The problem humanity has is the choice we have to live in fear and not have the courage to stand up and just focus on each other, because we're all victims. And I'm thankful that I'm able to share with you without being paranoid and without freaking out, because honestly, I want to maintain that peace and that 0 point in my life, but at the same time, I have this overwhelming desire to remind humanity, hey, let's stop chasing these rabbit holes and let's start focusing on the real issues. And the real issue right now is we've got a major stage being set up in the Middle East. We've got Saudi Arabia set up as NATO NATO, probably the sixth eye in the Five Eyes conglomerate. They've been given the Palantir software in a war room, and they're going to try to step up the war against terrorism, with the general consensus of predominantly the Western culture, the white Anglo culture, agreeing that, these Wahhabis, these terrorists, these refugees are the problem. You see, they want a bloodbath, my friend. They want to be able to solidify another 50 or 100 years of control over us, but it can't be done. I mean, we're in a crossing right now. We're on our path to ascension, and not ascension based on floating up in a freaking sky, but ascension based on grounding and getting involved with life, getting dirt in our hands, and researching our human potential to be thankful for this environment and for each other, and drop the racial barriers, the boundaries, the flags, the identities, the division, the divides. We're staged to transition into service to others. Seriously. And it's not a complicated message for people to embrace. I mean, and for my followers, the people that follow me virally, I can see it's like moths being led to a light. They see my passion, they see but they don't really hear, they don't understand, they understand just enough to keep coming back. But I'm at that point where I'm going to watch probably 2 million of these people be in danger in Qatar, Kuwait, Lebanon, Bahrain. And we've got a conflict that's brewing, and the West has a lot of fleet, a lot of armament, planes in Qatar, and we've got Saudi isolating Qatar with an embargo of no-fly zone type stuff, and and there's 220,000 Filipinos that live in Qatar alone. There's 300,000 Filipinos that live in Lebanon. We've got the Gaza Strip that's going to go down. And Qatar exists with a pool of oil, the largest accessible oil in the pool of oil in the world, and they share the resources with Iran, ironically. So, I mean, what would be the power move for the cabal, for these for this Illuminati, for this oligarchy? The power move would be to justify a war against Islam, against terrorists, against ISIS, and publicly. Right now, in the consciousness of probably 1 billion humans, they know ISIS is created by the West. They know ISIS is perpetuated as paid mercenaries. It's even a 45-minute documented UN peacekeeper mission that they say that the West created ISIS. So we have a prime objective here to use the term ISIS and say, okay, this is the guy, this is the group, these are the extremists. They're all over the world causing shit, and every news story blames them. But guess what? The people that want to destroy them are the people that created them. But I think we can take this message to the world, like we can say, enough's enough, guys. You really want to see nations destroyed. You really want to see humanity deceived with this lie. And if I can communicate to my followers that the fact that even their country is affected by ISIS now, or should I say the CIA and the, it always goes back to these Kabbalists, to the ones causing the problems, the ones that divided and conquered us in the beginning. When I got in that van, it was just a moment in time when fear didn't really rack my brains. The only thing I absorbed was what the guy was telling me. He was trying to discourage me to say that, humanity needs to fall to rise up again. We win. Humanity wins. But do we take the path of reconciliation? Like the Bible says, there's a way given to man that's straight and narrow. You got to work for it. You got to be moral, and or there's an easy way. Everybody's going this route. Let's just follow these guys. They're going to give us all a standard income. They're going to solve all the problems in the world. In fact, they'll give us one damn religion and one government. It'll all be okay. We're at that point. Rex, we are at that point. Can you bear this? I had to use that, Can you bear this reality, man? I mean,
pun intended.
Pun intended, but you know what? The metaphor, I mean, what do we do? What do we do? Do we invest our time as leaders? I think I'm a leader. I believe you're a leader. We have people that believe in us. Do we take our time and invest it in all of these interesting topics and different things, or do we focus in on the fact that, in a peaceful way to dissent from our own slavery, we can say, okay, guys, enough is enough. You want success in this life. You want to find love and peace and balance and harmony. You want to increase your human value. In fact, the wealth of the wicked is held up and stored for the just. I mean, ironically, the oligarchs, the bankers, monetize the money they use based on our birthright. They monetize us from birth with the legal name fraud and stuff like that. So the natural path for healing, the circle of life don't break, my friend. When the circle of life broke in the past, we had the flood, we had Lemuria, or all of these destructions. That was our failure to ascend, to transcend this slavery. When you get down to the who are we? We're all stars. As a collective, we're the sun, and we happen to manifest this reality in a third dimensional locked reality. It's our choice to get into our spiritual life, without saying light bodies and all of these different teasers, that make us so excited because we're ascended masters of nothing. As if we would come together and be human and have morality and no religion and just start doing what we need to do to survive, I mean, we would cause the system of the world that's designed to enslave us and systematically try to eradicate us. I feel that the people that the progenitor race that's controlling these oligarchs, I feel that they have no choice but to try their last death throes to get humanity to agree to destroy humanity in some way, like the people of America did to agree to go after Iraq and all the weapons of mass destruction. And if you don't believe in what I'm saying, then you're a terrorist too. Well, there's only two kinds of human today: a good human or a bad human. Now, what is that human doing to build their value to other humans? And I really don't want to go on because I could talk for days, but you can ask me questions. I'll just answer questions, my friend.
Well, I do want to ask you a question. I mean, why, with as much passion as you have about the Philippines, why aren't you living out there?
I'm locked into the U.S. until I'm actually on parole until the first month of 2018. And,
okay.
The issue is how do we not expose ourselves to a self-imploding life because we're exposing too much information? How do we stay within the conscious awareness of humanity and that love vibration? How do we love people back into conformity to be human? I believe I got my thumb on the pulse of that as a man.
Do you think it's possible for everybody to be at that level, or do you think it needs to be 50-50? Or, I mean, what's your take on the other aspect of things?
Well, I'll tell you what the oligarchs screwed up on when they committed 9/11 into their shock and awe. The biofeedback, the spiritual feedback was grief, which is a form of love and benevolence. So at that point, we transited into more than 51% service to others. This is a collective. All humans are the same version of the same person in the astral realm. So right now, I feel that love is not just the answer, it's the prerequisite. And it's not love based on Tina Turner. What's love? It's a secondhand emotion, really. Love is just a word to most people, but in their heart, what's driving their life is the quest for 0 point, that bliss, that joy, that understanding that says it's going to be okay tomorrow. But right now, what do? My life, my purpose is, while I have almost 17,000 followers on Facebook, while I have the fact that I've probably reached 70 million Filipinos in a year, while I have the reputation for being a disgruntled, loving guy that says, damn it, would you please wake up? I feel that if we can bring the message of connection and bonding and saying, okay, look, we're all in this together. We all have one goal, and that's to reverse everything we see that's wrong. But it's going to take work. It's going to take action. Yes, indeed, and action. You know, I've been known to set words trending on Facebook. Bless us all. I mean, most Filipinos close their sentences with bless us all now. The Duterte effect. If we have a man in the world that had the balls to stand up and tell the truth, why shouldn't we and just get on about our business and say, look, y'all really want to fight us? There's no way you can. You know, you get that little grasshoppers clip about the ants, you know. What if they find out there's so little of us and so many of them? Don't you ever say that. You know, we have so many examples of the answer in our life, but we're so caught up in these ideologies, and it's all fear-based. It's a fear-based quest for most humans to find a way out of their pain and sorrows, and they all want to work together, but you know, why is it we only come together as a human in a natural disaster or something, or an accident where people will actually get blood on themselves trying to save each other? You know, let's ignite that human passion again to be human, and not based on, well, I'm a PhD. I don't care about your PhD. Who are you in your heart? What do you know? I want to know who you are. Relationship building, and that's where I am with my followers, and I've put myself out there. I've disconnected from a life with a job, and you know, I've really dedicated 100% of my time to find myself alone and speaking the way I'm speaking. You know, at some point in time, a decision has to be made by a group of people to say, you know what, we're the answer. All of us are the answer. If we come together, we can solve this. We have to do it together. And you know what? It'll work. Because if we're all accepting our victimization, and if we're all accepting this turmoil and all this shit we've been given to feed on, to waste our time, you know, I mean, look at consumerism. What a wonderful way to make us not grow our own food, you know? And you know, let's just get to the facts. The fact is, we're all in this together. I've got a rare opportunity for me and you, and your listeners, your followers, your subscribers. My audience is not sticky, to use a demographic term in marketing. People will come to me. They will patronize me. They will call me their idol. We love you. Thank you for loving our president. This and this and this. But they won't sit there and become mesmerized in their own potential to be that voice, that person that can stand for their country and say, you know what, we're blessed. We're an awesome potential-driven country. We just have to get out there and share it with the world. You know, I've established Voice of the People radio network, and I just have to create that interview, that moment where they can call to action and say, you know what, John's been telling us this whole time. That the people that support President Duterte online spend most of their time with social bias media, with hoax-driven news pieces, clickbait. I'm always vetting the stories and telling them this is a lie. Donald Trump did not freeze the airspace for the vice president of the Philippines. That's a lie. You know, and so many times I've hallmarked the fact that they've been used. It's like the magicians. And watch this hand. I'm going to commit the trick with this one. I'm doing it right before your eyes, but you're not going to see it because you're too stupid. You can't really perceive what I'm doing. I'm going to fool you. We can't be fooled to buy another world war. We can't be fooled to buy another 10 years, another year, another 100 years of slavery. And it's our choice. I mean, we're the reason why the world is screwed up. It's our choice. We can't break out of the spellbinding boob tube. And now, you know, you bring out that black mirror. I mean, why are we participating with our own demise when it actually will not work for the prime objective of the oligarchs? They don't win. They know they don't win. We're already in that quest. We're in this timeline. Unity consciousness, a positive timeline. The Mandela effect is nothing but a byproduct of them trying to restructure the fabric of our history to conform us to a working narrative. I mean, why is the womb now called the matrix in the Bible? I mean, it's in our face. the Talmudic traditions, they have to tell us what they're doing to us before they do it to us. We have to want it. So why? Why do we agree that the Luciferian system is the Christian way? Because it's all we know. It's a generational curse. We're cursed multiple generations back from being human. And so we're the
Speak for
answer.
yourself. I don't agree with that.
Well, there you go. I'm speaking in general. Most people, I don't embrace anything but my life and my morals.
You will not assimilate me.
No, can't do it. Don't drink this blood. Eat my body
Must
and
not
you
assimilate.
eat that body and drink that blood. Everything's okay. It's a serious thing, man. I mean, children die every day. I mean, the things I've seen in my life. And what's so wonderful about the Filipino people, Rex, is they have a president that exposes everything. They are.
And let me jump in real quick too, because didn't you say that you have a direct connect with the administration of the Philippines, with the presidential cabinet?
I do, and for the last week, they believe that they're being monitored and their social connections and all that. I'm about to get back into my connections. They're to tell you what's happening with them. The press secretary, the communications secretary, Martin Andanor, has taken one of the biggest viral sensations. Her name is Moko Usan. She has Moko Usan blog online. She's got like 5 million followers. She was one of the key players. She's part of a dance troupe called the Moko Girls. She's powerful. She's beautiful. She speaks Visaya, the language of the president. She has a passion for the people. They came together. The government elected her as the undersecretary of communications, and they're creating a podcast. And this is something I've been advocating for 5 months, 6 months now. They're going to have the only official news source in the Philippines. You see, what happened is most of these Filipinos that are social media savvy, online savvy, they create these WordPress sites and all these clickbait sites. They're taking advantage of the viral phenomena of the term Duterte. And they put clickbait out there. I mean, they taking the time, the productive time of the people that are around the world and in the Philippines, and they're keeping them vexed in all of this negative media. Social media has 100% replaced the television in most people's lives. So they're wasting all of their time on negative energy, you see. So what we're doing is we're slowly bringing them back into positive energy. I've got a college in the Philippines that wants to establish a curriculum for the Philippines to bring back the history of the Philippines. I know the history of the Philippines, the ancient history of the Philippines. And they're like the last major civilization that has been conquered and colonized and imperialized and vexed by the oligarchy. So they're breaking free. So that circle of life is not circumventing. It's the healing starts with them as an example, and then the rest of the world will follow. So I have a connection, but it's like the people that pulled me in the van. We have people in the world that have money. We have people in the world that are sitting back travailing, they're like, God, when will these people wake up? It has to be a conscientious choice. If we all chose our path of destruction, we have to learn to heal. We have to learn to construct our lives, to assimilate who we are in our own time. And the only way it can be done is in our social behavior and our social interaction with each other based on love and benevolence and service to others and production on the earth. We can't keep consuming the earth. We have to produce. So my connection to the cabinet of the Philippines goes back a long ways because I pushed non-GMO organic agriculture in the Philippines for a long time. And almost all the provinces there it's blacklisted. All of the GMO, all of the Monsanto's type stuff.
Really?
Oh yeah. Well,
that's good. Why didn't you bring that up before? That's awesome.
Well,
I'm sure that brings a whole new light for many of our listeners and myself. If what you're saying is, wow, that's great.
Well, did you catch the hint of what the monkey in what's this guy's name? God damn it! Oh God, he goes viral every so often. Yeah, he's one of the guys he speaks. He speaks with all of the Neil Keenan. Neil Keenan exposed the real motive behind the Bougainvillean Republic Coconut Rebellion. They have mountains and copper and gold reserves that they've been trying to exploit for about 40 years, and they've managed to keep the mining companies out. I didn't mention that last time we talked, but I mean, the Bougainvillean people know that if the gold and the copper stays in the earth, it's where it's supposed to be. What you think about that, huh? So why, we've got so many people working hard to try to disrupt the collective of humanity from being human. I mean, look at what's happening with Corey Good and that other rascal with Guy on TV, George Norrie and all these people. And we've got COINTEL operators that try to keep our attention down these rabbit holes.
You don't believe in the large blue sphere beings?
Oh shit! I broke that a long time ago.
You never know. You never know. I mean, hey.
Well, Rex.
They could be.
Rex,
I saw a unicorn the other day. It was right there. It was a big giant unicorn.
I believe
flying around. Had a big old laser beam coming out of its eyeball. I had these freaking Pegasus wings. Oh wait, that was a TV show. Oh, I'm sorry. Please continue.
I believe we all have this raging transvestite living within us that just wants to be loved. We can take some far extremes, but the fact is, what is?
Ladies and gentlemen, did you hear what John just said? Unbelievable.
I'm a lesbian. I'm a lesbian. But the issue is.
But why? You said transvestite.
Well, I'm a transvestite lesbian because I'm trying to manifest my Baphomet body. But he
busted out Baphomet. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, man. I mean,
he's intertwining it all together, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, without the goat head, Rex.
I like the goat head.
Well, the thing is, the Baphomet physical representation is what's happening to the trannies, to the lady boys in the Philippines. They are genetically healing. You have a major population in the Philippines of women with beautiful bodies, beautiful complexion. Some have an Adam's apple, some don't. Beautiful breast and a penis. Okay, we were divided and conquered from a genetic level thousands and thousands, maybe millions of years ago, because they had to divide and conquer us as a warrior race from our survival instinct. That's where the reptilian brain aspect came from. When you take, we were self-replicating life forms at one time, and if you look at
talk about a cheap date.
Well, I mean, you take yourself out. I mean, but that's perfection. I mean, all of the species on the planet were at one time. So if we can embrace just changing our current reality, this moment of now, to say, what can I do to impact my life to make me a better person? Well, I cannot invest so much damn time being ignorant as to what is limiting my potential to be happy. What kind of attitude can I bring into my life to make my altitude, a little higher? What can I do to ground myself? How can I be more productive as a human? And, I think we have something here. If we can teach these people that they are a voice, they are a choice, they are an action that can create a reaction, and it will not stop. This 144,000 is nothing but the toroidal points of the energy of the earth. Once we see these 144,000 people resonating, just being human, just having service to others and love for each other, and do no harm. Once we have people in that blissful experience, the path of humanity will follow the 1,000-year millennial reign. That path into the ascension. We're not gonna float out of here. We're just gonna manifest our lives in a different, higher multidimensional awareness. I mean, and who cares about where we go? I mean, I care about what we do now and what we don't do. Most of us don't do anything to live in love. I mean, let's get some Bob Marley on this thing. Let's do this the right way without trying to back ourselves into a receptacle that plugs us into some ideology or doctrine that keeps us retarded. Oh man, I just don't know what else to say. If I can wake up my followers and have them just follow some simple directions. Tell the world, come together as a powerful force of agreement and tell the world that you're free. And the oligarchs, I mean, you know, there's a group of people in the world that are creating disruption in our lives, and they bring it again. We're against ourselves. You know, we are the reason for change. So I don't know. I'm not going to shut up.
Well, what
Thank you
are
for
the
this time.
directions? In closing out tonight, you said you'd say follow some directions. So what would you say those directions are? And once again, give the audience your information if they want to get in contact with you about what's going on in the Philippines, please.
Well, on Facebook, just type in John Arceneaux, and when you're going to see my face with glasses,
Tell them how to spell
see.
that, because most people aren't going to. I mean, you know,
It's
that they don't know that's French, right? It's French, right?
Yeah, it's JOHN, not JHON. JOHN ARCENEAUX, and that's Facebook. Um, the website is social-live.biz. Social-live.biz. We need to be socially alive and make it our business. And you get to me there. I mean, it's easy to connect. But the instructions is, you know, we were given a basic set of instructions when we were born. And that is for us to be true to ourselves, grow our own food, love our fellow man, and make babies. That's our simple instructions. It's written on the right butt cheek. You know, we have to really embrace changing our behaviors and not being such consumers. And we have to really embrace the fact that our ego is causing our attention span to wane towards this allure to be part of the cause and solve the problems of the world, posting things. Well, you know, Facebook keeps everybody in groups. They're not telling the world anything about the changes in the Philippines. And they're focusing, my followers focus all of their time on the negative. They don't come together as a collective. My instructions would be, let's come together outside of Facebook and let's create a phenomena, a radio show, a podcast that even you can be a part of, Rex, where we can call it the voice of the people, and we can syndicate some non-invasive truth and love. And hey, you know, like on the street roving reporter, if you could be given an opportunity, what would you do to change the world? What do you think would be the best thing you could do as a human to change the world? And I believe we'd get the same answer that the beauty pageant contestants give. World peace, feed the children. Okay, well, how do we participate in that? How do we start changing our own backyard and our own households? How do we change our own life? How do we, I mean, these Filipino people, the Filipinos and the OFWs have a choice to make. They can either invest another 6 months or another year just watching their country slowly be destroyed by civil unrest, because that's what's happening. They're not telling the world about, number one, their president is a servant. He's for the people, by the people. Rule of law reigns in the country. And they're making a scene around the world by saying, hey, we're the Philippines. Let's do business. You know, let's do some things. They're part of the Road and Belt Project, which is nothing but the Silk Road project that's starting. We see a path that we can all take to stop the suffering in the world. And we all have to participate. So if I can get my followers to pay attention to what I'm saying, I can not only give them the verbiage and the links and exposure to you with your teaching. Can you imagine if I had millions of people going to you to learn? The wonderful education you give people in a 20-minute video will blow them away. They'll be like, wow. It takes away that quest to try to find out on their own, what's the Illuminati? You know, really, who cares? They're in our face. They're controlling us by our own choice. So let's just starve them from the loosh, you know. let's make them serve us. So
quit giving them the soul energy.
That's right. So, you know, I really thank you for the time, Rex. I mean, my people can help me, but we can help each other. I got to help you, and you got to help me. We're in this together, and the outcome of this day depends on what we've done to make ourselves more valuable. It's all about human values. It's all about us not being the currency of the world in a negative way. We have to be the currency of the world in a valuable, loving way, in a productive way, in a seed planting way, in a harvesting way. because I promise you, if we do not call to action and if we do not start serving each other and loving each other and speaking the truth, not a controversial truth, but a truth that says we've been the victims for many generations. We need to have victory over our own lives. We need to find peace in every day of our life. We need to sleep in peace with a purpose. If we do that, man, the world's going to change. Because if we don't, we're going to see half of the world's population destroyed. Only for us to rise up out of the ashes without the internet, without all of these creature comforts, to regroup and find our way, you know? So, I mean, are we going to take that straight and narrow path where we're actually going to learn something about ourselves and heal and rebuild relationships and be effective? Or are we just going to follow all the goats, all the sheep off the cliff? Let's go. You know, the Pied Piper is blowing the whistle loud for them to go in the easy direction. You know,
was that a real sheep?
Yeah, that's part of my, they screwed up. I got sheep in me, pig, monkey. But,
they inject you with that vaccine. They're like, oh yeah, by the way, not only does it have monkey DNA, but we've also got sheep DNA in this stuff.
I cannot go to a petting zoo. But look, man, we got some choices to make as humans. What are we going to invest our time in? You know, what are we going to do? And I mean, like what you're doing. You're investing your time to find a better way for yourself and your family. You know, I mean, and most of everything you do is to enlighten people to say, hey, you know, check this out. Everything that was done, everything we think is, it's all saying the same thing. We've been suckers for too long. We're the actual power of the earth. We're the change. We're the energy of love, but we're not participating in it. We're spiritual beings inhabiting a meat suit, killing the meat suit daily and limiting our manifest destiny. Period. And there's nothing scary about it. We just have to deny our own suffering to choose a better way to live. So I thank you for your time, man. Yeah, this thing with the van, it was a shock for me and it scared the hell out of me. But I mean, it really made me start giving thanks for who I am and what I'm doing, and I cooled my jets quite a bit, you know, because I was about to crash and burn myself.
Well, thank you. Oh, sorry, I thought you were.
That's okay. There. That's okay.
Go ahead and finish. No, what were you going to say? No, that's okay.
I'm just done. I'm done.
You're just done. Be careful. You got to watch your words, man. When you say stuff like that, I'm just done. You know, but I do appreciate you coming on the show, John. And I know you're so passionate about this. And that's one thing I really respect about you is the passion. And people need to find that passion. And hopefully that passion is geared towards the right direction, in the right gear, pointed towards the right direction, I should say. So we'll definitely have you on again. I know a lot of people like to listen to you talk. Next time we do this, I think we'll go live and see how many people we can get to listen to the show live, because you can, definitely keep a good fluid conversation. So you made this very easy for me. I just listened. So much appreciated. And we'll definitely have you back on again. Ladies and gentlemen, check out leakproject.com. We have a premium section there for exclusive members, and you can get access to that for $10 a month, $50 a year. That definitely helps the Leak Project program. That is my shameless plug. Thank you very much for being here with us, ladies and gentlemen. And not only be excellent to each other, be the change you want to see. Thanks, John.
Thank you, Rex. Bye. These people that ended up having an elected president to the point where they were giving thanks and speaking positive about the changes in the Philippines, because in less than a year, this president has forged from a third world country to the makings of a first world country, good standing with Russia, China, Japan, all of the countries that are in the ASEAN nations, the Asiatic bloc of countries, even Peru. It's like from that, it's like all the countries that surround the oligarch nations, the monarch-driven nations, the Luciferian nations. He's always called out the evil, and he's never taken a lot of concentrated time to speak to his people about changing, because the country was given a gift of freedom, not beholding to the corporate structures of the world, not beholding to the New World Order plans, the Illuminati. He takes a stand against hypocrisy and oligarchy, imperialism, colonization. He calls it for what it is. Well, Here recently, I've for a year, 1 year, I've been in a motel because I quickly became outcast when my popularity was known in my local city. A family outcast me. I was living in a family home with my daughter, who is autistic, very high functioning autistic young lady. We were brought to a motel and basically said, how dare you stand against the government and all these things you're speaking of. You're such a radical. You need to you can do much more with your life than waste your time trying to help these people. They'll never help you. It was a monetary issue to them because they know my potential in corporate America. Well, I've denied myself for a year and still in the same situation, trying to wake these people up. And I've grown to the understanding that the consciousness of humanity and our ability to see our victimization and the fact that we're co-creators in this and trying to obtain different results. Well, as John Arceneaux, just being me, I just turned 53 June the 4th, like Sunday. And my hardest job is not for myself, not to be a narcissistic, Messiah complex driven person. I have to figure out how to save myself at the same time when I'm trying to teach humanity to save themselves. We're all victims of damn near everything we participate in life with. And the Philippines has been victimized for over 100 years by imperialism, Imperial Manila. The American-Filipino War was just a seizure of that archipelagos of 7,000 islands, so uniquely positioned, back from Magellan's time. The church started the hypocrisy there. And, now the only official history for the Filipino is the Spanish Catholic rendition and the Ignatius Loyola rendition of history. So we have a divide in the country of what they call yellow tards, is the Liberal Party coupled with the Communist Party, and it turns into a lot of different subdivisions. But the people of the Philippines elected this man called President Duterte. He was a mayor of a city in the southern region of the Philippines known as Davao. And he inherited, as mayor over 20 years ago, a city that was like the fourth worst city in the world, and in 20 years, he even buried the power lines. I mean, the city is like the fourth safest city in the world. So the guy he's like me. He's like me and you. He's not going to be sold out to anything. The people of the country didn't know most of them didn't know who he was. And it just became a social media phenomena. I got involved with his election because I've known of this man. I've always followed this man, and in different rare opportunities, I've defended him against biased media. They've always tried to make him look like a dictator and a mercenary. But, the fact is, he's a warrior. He's a man. He's just like me and you. If someone's coming to forcibly enter our home to do harm to our family, we're going to rise up and do what we can within our means to eradicate the issue. Well, on top of all of this, he's a prosecuting attorney. So he's always been out his box, according to the Bar Association. He follows rule of law. So they elected this man. I was involved in the campaign. Social media had about 6 million what are known as diehard Duterte supporters, DDS, it's an acronym. And in this whole process, I was being waged war against by this Liberal Party. They had encamped all of the different regional support groups on Facebook to support President Duterte and his election. And they were, as far as a year back, they were bringing a negative image in what I now call social bias media. They were creating a vigilante image for the president. They coined him as the Punisher, and they have a lot of images with him, at the firing range. And my God, he's nothing but a man. He's a father, a grandfather, a mayor, a successful mayor, prosecuting attorney. He's an ethical man, an honorable man. Rex, he curses, he speaks his mind, he fits the psychological makeup of a real person. It's ironic that people that have a potty mouth sometimes have a better moral fiber than the ones that stand up pious and judgmental. So, and he's not beholden to the church. He was molested as a young boy, and so was I. And there's so many similarities in who we are and what we stand for. I found myself constantly trying to bring.
Let's get into what is going on in the Philippines. And John, for the audience, for those that haven't heard of you before, and for those that follow you, because I know you have a huge following, please give a huge, shout out for you and how they can reach you, please.
Well, Rex, again, thank you for this opportunity to bring a path of reality, a choice that we can all make to solve the problems in the world. Because, Rex, I hate the term human rights activist, but as a philanthropist, when I was in corporate America, I was always involved before the internet, but always involved in advocating human rights, and it was based on sovereignty and stopping mining, protect the rainforest, the frogs. My issue now for about I've been in a relationship with the Filipino people in the customer service industry. My Facebook is U6ME Outsource. It's just John Arceneaux. You'll see me. You'll see my face. I'm advocating the rights of they have 10 million human trafficked offshore working people because there's no social middle class in the Philippines. Everything I do, my website is a call to action, social-live.biz, to be socially alive, make it your business. U-6.me, unite humanity one person at a time. It starts with me and you. I've always been pushing to undo that cinch knot that's on humanity because of the cause and effect of the Hegelian dialectic, that divide and conquer, which is in everything: the money, the spiritual systems, the indoctrination, the socialism. Look at the Tavistock Institute. Look at all the psychopathy. That's the ends justify the means. And then we've got this wonderful new abridged definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again. Matrix, everything around us in the alternative communities is pointing back to our divided and conquered essence as a human. So my quest has been to call to action these 10 million OFWs who all follow their government because their government's serving them, ironically. And these 6 million DDS are Duterte supporters, which are all Filipino online. And what I'm dealing with is their conscious awareness, their cognitive dissonance, their inability to see the truth, to be set free, to be who they're born to be, to follow their natural path in life. And in the past year, even as far as 2 years ago, I've had encounters with people that were monitoring me. There is a hidden element of Western society that I believe it's the remnant of the white hats, the people that are in position and the people that know the social disconnect spiritually. And, for some reason, these oligarchs, and the definition of oligarch, Rex, it's, I keep thinking you're Max Egan. For some reason,
a nice guy. I like Max.
Yeah, I've done a couple of interviews with him. We're on the same path, but for some reason, these oligarchs depend on the definition of oligarchs is any small group of people that control a region or a people or a system. It's just that double hexed, twice removed from your birthright. If they can systematically get you 3 generations away from your indigenous behavior as a culture, they can socially divide and conquer your life spiritually, economically. They give you this placebo called money and spirituality. They take your divine essence away from you at birth, and they indoctrinate you into this path of suffering because we're so bad. Well, this group of people that's been monitored